Hey guys, uh, welcome on to another Tuesday night. Yeah, here we are. Another week's gone by. Who have we got in the room tonight? Chris Freemeasure, of course, giving Kiwi a hard time. So he wanted to say hello. Tavo, great to have you along, man. How you feeling? Hope you're doing good. Chuck, Mr. Charles Dalton, welcome along. And Beagle Bob, as always, good to have you here, mate. Good to have you here. And yeah, so what's new, fellas? What's new? What's going on? I need a bit of light, I feel. Look at that. No, that's better or not. You can probably see me better, which may not be a good thing. Paul Funk, good evening. Don't forget to hit the like button. Well, this is true. Yeah, 11 people in and 5 likes. See, 6 of you apparently don't like the show. Oh, yeah. Beagle Bob, yesterday I finally finished my F-150. That's awesome, man. Well done. Well done. So, nice to be working on a Monday. Tavo, hello, Mr. Kiwi. Yep. Hello, Mr. Aussie. How you doing? Paul Funk, enjoying the Sunbeam build. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. It's coming on. I've been working on that, getting an engine bay in it and some inner fenders and stuff like that, getting those refitted around the new parts, trying to marry the old to the new, which is actually it's going quite well. To be fair, it's going quite well. I mean, I'm sick to death of spot weld drilling. I know that. I hate to think how many spot welds I've drilled out on that car, but it's just part of the game. Beagle Bob, got the limited slip installed front shocks and brakes. That's a good effort for a Monday, or was that like a 3-day weekend deal? But either way, it's good going. Tavo, hey Barry Cooter, and Barry Cooter. Yes, welcome along, brother. All right. So what's everyone else been up to? Oh, Beagle Bob, about 2 weeks on it. Yeah, it takes time, don't it? Takes time. So what's that weather doing up in New York, Mr. Freemason? Is it warming up there yet? Beagle Bob, including waiting for parts after I broke something. Yeah, they're always waiting for parts, aren't we? So that's the thing. We've got an F-250 at the shop at the moment. They actually, to be fair, parts arrived today. That's needing a little bit of attention. Driveway of Misfits, we hit 70 yesterday, but it's going to cool down towards the end of the week. Yeah, similar weather conditions here too, man. It was warm late last week and over the weekend, and then it's cooled down a little bit. You can still kind of wear a t-shirt in the morning, but it's a little chilly, but not bad. Very Cooter. Hello and welcome. Hello to you and your brown snakes and cats, Tavo. Paul Funk, it was sunny and breezy here today, 68. Yeah, that's not bad, is it? What was our high today? It's kind of behind closed doors all day today, so I don't even really know. Could have been raining for all I know. Where'd the weather app go? There it is. Oh, we had a high of 78 today, so there you go. Toasty warm. Chris F. Sorely tempted to go out and get some work done on the cars, but I know better. Winter isn't over yet. Yeah, just giving us a little sneak preview. Beagle Bob also helped a friend pull an LS3 from his SS, the American Holden Commodore. Oh, okay. And have been starting on my garden indoors. Okay. Indoor gardening, isn't there? There's another name for that, isn't there? Indoor gardening? Hydroponics? I thought you were just strictly a bourbon boy. Cheers. Brittany Wee. S3B. Hey, welcome along. I subscribed. Well, that's awesome. I was going to say, the name's not familiar here on the live, but hey, it's great to have you here. Danny Boyd, I block sanded a door and quarter panel today. There you go. Nice. Well, Brittany, yep, good. Feel free to chime in about whatever and however you want. It's all good. Driveway of Misfits. How's the neck feeling? Actually, it's quite a bit better. I've been to the chiropractor and they've been spending about an hour a session on me, and it's actually feeling a lot better. It was pretty distracting last Tuesday. I've got to be honest. It was a bit of a challenge, but it's really not too bad. Been able to ease back on the ibuprofens. Hard. I think I only had 2 today, so it's really not bad. So yeah, but thanks for asking. Tavo, nearly as cool down here. 84 yesterday, 82 expected today. 29, 28 degrees C. There you go. Yeah, that's relatively cool for your location, there, buddy. Beagle Bob, just starting the seeds and trays so they're grown a bit once the last frost comes. Okay, what are you growing, man? Or should I not ask in a public forum like this? Oh, peppers and tomatoes. There you go. If you keep reading the comments, you get the answers there. Charles Dalton, mid-70s here today and yesterday. Snow coming in a few days. Oh, man. Gotta love the Midwest. Snow Crusher, all the way from Kanadistan. Good to have you here, man. Good to have you here. What's happening up in the wintry north? Still cold, I'm betting. Now, Barry Cooter, I'm very sorry to have to report that I've allowed something to happen that I've been very mindful of not wanting to happen, but what's done is done. Okay, well, that's a little cryptic. What did you do? Did you buy a Chevrolet or something? Like what sounds ominous? Chris Freemason. Just you to think of something worse than buying a Chevrolet. What did you get married? Goodness. Maybe. I'm sure he'll tell us in a minute once he's kept us guessing for a while. Snow Crusher, warming up above freezing today. Daytime temps. Oh, wow. Chavo, did you sell a Valiant Berry? Oh, goodness. That would need a period of mourning, wouldn't it? Calvin F., good timing. I'm having a cup of tea while you're drinking top shelf. Yeah, well, there's something wrong with that picture, you see. Tea's not anywhere near as good for you as bourbon. Eagle Bob, I find myself much more productive if I stay away from the forbidden plants. This is true. It's very relaxing, but it's a little too relaxing, isn't it? Yeah. There's worse things. Yeah. So what's going on, Barry Cooter? Yes, we've got Chevrolet's marriage and selling of a Valiant. So that's the trifecta of things you shouldn't let happen, mate. Driveway of Misfits. When does Mrs. Kiwi return? She got home last Friday. She is here. She's in the other room over that way somewhere. Yes. And she brought back a big ass piece of Remu with her. So I think all the baggage handlers thought she was a bit odd, but it's all good. Dan's Garage. Had my little Red Express out for a little drive Sunday up here in Ontario. Had a nice break in the weather. Oh, very cool. They're neat little old trucks, those. What a guy guy that had the workshop at the other end of my building before they closed it had one of those little Red Express, and it's just a neat time capsule. Like they're just something that would have only sold in that era that they sold them. So it's kind of neat. It's a real 80s, not really throwback, but an 80s statement. They're very cool. And becoming more collectible too, I think. Barracuda, I left my VX Commodore keys in my pants pocket and it went through the full wash cycle. Yeah, that's going to cost you some money. That's probably not. Oh, it might. It might dry out. It's not as complicated as a cell phone. Chris Freemas, awesome that the Remu made it here. Yeah, it is. It is. No, kind of. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to do before we get to that. The requirement to make it. But in saying that, and definitely do it ahead of time. I don't need to wait till we need the dash. So I probably need to start figuring out who's going to do it, or whether I take a crack at it myself. Woodworking is not really my thing. But and I don't have really the tools. You really need a router and some stuff like that, which is, if I need a router, I can buy one. It's not a big deal. But having one piece of Remu and how difficult it is to get your hands on, I'm not sure whether I trust myself to tear into it. Tavo, that's not a good thing to do, but you knew that. Yes, stating the obvious there, Tavo. Danny Boyd, I think the swimming pool is harder on old car keys than it's the washing machine. Yeah, that, especially if it's a chlorinated pool. Oh, well, salt too, I guess. Saltwater pool would be pretty hard on them too. Chris Freemason. Why is that a bad thing? Did they make the keys out of cardboard or something? No, but if the fob's dead, then the thing won't start. They're that electric that picks up, whatever the signal is from that, like a transponder type thing almost. In that, you need a working fob to make the thing run. So that's a bit of a bugger. Danny Boyd, if it's a new car, all bets are off. Yeah, VX Commodore is, I don't know what year, but 2000s type thing. So it's that, VX. Not quite sure. Barracuda be able to tell it. Yeah, Barracuda computer chip in it. Yeah, VX early 2000s. Yeah, I figured it was 2000s. And they're probably a push button start. So you need that computer chip to make it run. Andy Nickel, welcome along, sir. A bit late. I was watching Cletus and lost time. There you go. Oh, at least you ditched him for me, so that's good. I'll let you off. Chris Freeman says, so it's a modern car. Not all of us Yanks know what a VX Commodore is. No, the Commodores. When did they first start making Commodores? Tavo will have the answer to this off the top of his head. I'm going to say the 80s was with the first Commodores. Remembering I was a bit of a what's the term? I wasn't. Yeah, back in the 80s, I didn't pay much attention to Aussie cars. I was just so obsessed with American stuff that I really didn't rate the Aussie stuff, and it's only been more recent. As a few more years have gone by, I've actually come to appreciate the Aussie cars for just how good they are. That leaves me a little bit not quite so sure on the years and stuff like that. Mexican Spec, welcome along, man. Good to have you here. Danny Boyd, if it's a simple RFD chip, maybe it survived. Maybe. So they're tougher than well, I'm not sure whether they're tougher, but they're not as complex as like a cell phone. So you put a cell phone through a washing machine, you can pretty much kiss it goodbye. But hey, I trust me, I know I've done it. So Mexican speak. We had to choose today, here or art. Okay, is Art on? Has got us live tonight, has he? Didn't know that, or has he moved? Kelvin RF, can you remember the 48 bonus at the Natia show where Lloyd had widened the front fenders? Yes, I see this truck a bit and it's coming along nicely. The proportions are looking really good. Yes, I remember that truck. That caught my eye, and like that was worthy of some attention. That was a pretty cool truck, and I really liked the way he'd done it. That was that had a lot of potential. Yeah, no, don't forget that one quickly. No. Barracuda 79. Oh, well, 80. Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah, they really replaced the, the Kingswoods and that sort of thing, didn't they? Belmonts and all that model, the HQ through whatever iteration it ended up as. Chuck, Charles Dalton, I had a 95 Impala SS with the chip and the actual key. I left them in my pocket on a very hot golf day, just enough sweat that the security system wouldn't recognise it. Oh, wow. Wow. That must have been a bit of a bear, a bit of a pain. How'd you get home? Tavo, same basic model 4-door that the G8 was made from. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the G8 is really a Holden Commodore. While it's a badge to Pontiac, it is 100% Australian car, with the possibility of a slight grille and bumper fascia change, and that's about it, really. They're becoming. I tell you what, Tava, those G8s are going up in value here. People have started to realise actually just what a good car they are, and they're going up quite rapidly. Actually, not massively, but like compared to 12 months ago, they're 5, 6, 7, 8 grand more than they were even 12 months ago. Which, considering they dropped to where they were, I'm going to say 10, 11, 12 grand car, they're now 20 all day long. So that's a big, that's almost doubling in a fairly short period of time. So people have realised, like, they're just an awesome, good, the LS, great motor, good transmissions, good rear ends, good handling car, rear-wheel drive, which we all love. People are seeking them out. Yeah? Now, Danny Boyd. No, I was listening to the Commodores back in the 70s. Yes. Oh, yes, I remember them. Beagle Bob, Mexican spec. Yes, we did. I tend to stick to a schedule. Fair enough, too. Josh Heyman, good to have you here, mate. Yeah, that's cool. Tavo, no, not G8. The GTO Monaro based car is based on the VX Commodore. Now I'm confusing myself. Oh, okay. Yes. The earlier one. Right. Yeah. Yeah, those never really took off here big time, but the G8 certainly has. But that GTO Monaro base, the 2-door one, is, you do see them, but man, not very often. They're pretty scarce. The Commodore VX looks like the early 2000s GTO. I'm with you. Yep. Josh Homan, good evening to one and all is well. Oh, that's very good. Mexican speak, I think it was just this time. Art changed it to Tuesday. Okay. Probably a timing thing. Okay. Lane Connolly, I have washed my 2024 Acura Integra key twice. Still works fine. There we go. Beagle Bob, Dr. Art doing a Monday night live on Tuesday this week. We found out a few of us don't read titles or descriptions well last night, waiting for it to start. Yes, there you go. He must have had a better offer last night, huh? Mexican speak. Most of these guys don't put a description. I never look. There you go. I usually do. Chris Freemesser, the Chevy SS was a Commodore as well, right? Yes, it was. Yep, it was. The SS was only made from 14 to 17. Yeah, they're going through the roof price-wise as well. Barracuda, actually, the chip has survived, but the key is not locking so good now. I had to cut it open to try it out. I'll get another fob shell for it. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, not the end of the world, but just frustrating, huh? Beagle Bob, I don't know how many years they did the GTO and the G8, but I think they did Camaro only for a few years from that chassis platform. Okay. That's right. Yeah, the Camaro was a Commodore chassis, wasn't it, when it first came out? Gosh, the Camaro, that's wild. I mean, it's amazing how time flies. When we first got here, which was 2008, the Camaro was just coming out, and the Transformers movie was out. And they had the Bumblebee Camaro and that. And at that point, I think they weren't quite available from the dealers. And yeah, that was 2008. So Camaro's been going for a while, or re-going for a while. Calvin RF, did you enjoy going back to feet and inches after using metrics? I've gone back to feet and inches as I find I don't make mistakes like I can do with metrics. I didn't enjoy it. It took me a little while to get used to it, and I was hunting around for tape measures that had inches and centimeters or metric. And that I found a few of them, and that kind of helped me cross over. And now I'm losing the metric side of things altogether. So I'm back to full on inches. But I just if truth be told, I prefer metric just because everything's in tens. It does. When you're doing, when you're trying to add 11 and 13 sixteenths to 5 and 3/8, it's like, you've got to think. And you get into fractions, and it's I find it quite hard. Well, not hard, but more difficult than metric. Metric will be, 350 millimeters plus 235 millimeters, and that's kind of easy it's just simple math. When it's all in just tens, the way we normally count every day. Barracuda, I think in some countries the VX Commodore is called a Chevy Lumina. Oh, it could be. They did also badge those earlier Commodores as Cadillacs. They were made as Cadillacs. I think it might have been a Statesman, a Holden Statesman, came out as a Cadillac here. Again, pretty limited numbers. Mexican spec. Oh, that Camaro. I was thinking of the 93 Camaro. The newer one doesn't exist for me. Don't like the newer Camaro, I take it. Beagle Bob, my Camaro was that Bumblebee generation, 2010, the first model year in the USA since 2002. Yeah, the G8 came to us in 08. Oh, okay. Beer Rose Garage, hey. Beer Rose Garage, yeah. Finding centre with metric system is easier on the fly, that's for sure. It really is. I mean, it really is. A lot of people have convinced themselves that, a lot of people here have convinced themselves that metric's really hard or really weird, but I just say to people, can you count to 10? And that usually gets me a mildly offended, strange, bewildered look. And the answer is inevitably, of course. And it's like, well, then you can do metric. And they usually just scoff at that, like, oh, no. But it's true, though. I mean, I'm not just being smart. If you can count to 10, you can do metric. Tavo, left-hand drive Aussie-built Commodores were sold as Chevy Lumina in the Middle East. Oh, wow. Didn't know that. Holden Statesman Caprice sold as the Chevy Caprice in the Middle East. Well, that makes sense. Garth Harris, morning Kiwi. Love the work on the Alpine. When we're getting more large, Mark? Yeah, might be a little typo there. I'm sure you're meaning large Marge. I've got a video half done of a little bit of sheet metal work on large Marge, and I've kind of got to get back to it. But time is always against me. So yeah, I've got to kind of get back in and finish that video and do a little bit more large Marge. But realistically, nothing really big on large Marge in the near future. I'm really trying to push hard on the Alpine and make some decent headway on that. So that's kind of getting the vast majority of my available spare time. So yeah, that's that. When I get tired of the Alpine, which inevitably I will, you do get kind of, when you push hard on a project, you do get a little tired of it, and you need a break. You need to just walk away for a while and kind of re-energize. So that's when I'll jump back onto Marge, and hopefully by then I'll have a little bit more room in the shop and I can pull her in or push her in. But really waiting on engine stuff, and got a bunch of sheet metal work, not a bunch, but some sheet metal work to do. There's inner fenders need love. There's core support need love, stuff like that. Just to be able to reinstall the engine. So I imagine it's all it'll come together. I'll end up having a fairly intense push on Marge at some time in the not too distant future, just to get her ready for a new engine, and because I want to paint all the engine bay before the new engine goes in, obviously fix the rust issues, like under the battery trays all rotten as you'd expect. That it always is, regardless of your brand. Batteries just eat shit. So hang tight, enjoy the Alpine, and you will be getting some large Marge before too long. Garth Harris, hello from Aussie. An Aussie boy. Good to have another Aussie boy in the room. Here we go. Chris Freemasson. Metric versus SAE. Holy war starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Garth Harris, where did you do your time in New Zealand? As in, do my time. Not sure what you mean, like an apprenticeship. Like, what are you meaning there, Garth? Mexicans speak. They can live safely side by side. Beagle Bob, it's just hard for us Americans to visualize something in metric. I don't know if you're a midget or a giant at 190 centimeters. Hey, I hear you there. Height of people, it still only works in feet and inches. Like, Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I have not ever been able to make that crossover. Uh, yeah, um, and that's a weird thing, I must admit. Um, Barracuda Holden have made this key difficult to deal with. The battery is spot welded to its little hold down bracket. Good lord, making it very difficult to put a new battery in it. Why would they do that? Nope, hang on here. Why is it doing that? Stop doing that. Garth Harris, New Zealand school system. Sorry for the typo. Mate, I went to school in Taranaki and in Auckland. I spent, I think, from started school in Taranaki, then Hawera, and then moved up. My family moved up to Auckland as I hit fourth form, like 14. Yeah, so that's where I did that. Tabo. We switched to metric while I was in grade 4-5. If someone tells me something is 15 centimetres or 150 millimetres, I still do the quick conversion in my head so my hands understand they mean 6 inches. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, yeah, we obviously similar age because I was, I can't remember. I was a young kid. Probably very similar, I'd say. And yeah, I can still, like, I know 3 foot is close to a metre or about 3 inches short of a metre. So, 30 centimetres is about a foot, or 12 inches. So, yeah, all that sort of stuff's still in here, and probably always will be. Mexican spec, Beagle Bob. I have been in Mexico City the last century, and I still don't know that. How tall am I? I don't know. I don't know how tall I am in metric either. I think it's about 180, 185, something like that. Whatever 6 foot equals. So 30 centimetres roughly to a foot. So, yeah, 180-ish. 180-ish. Beer Rose Garage, Kiwi. Over the weekend, I did something I've never done, and I said I'd never do. I cut out a perfectly good 66 floor, but I saved it for anyone that might need a floor in a 66 Corvair. Oh, there you go. So you managed to cut it out without destroying it. Well, that's good. I mean, someone will be wanting one, but it's putting them together with your floor in an area that doesn't cost, $1,000 to bloody ship it, Where did that go? Ooh, dropping behind again. Mexican spec turbo, was that you guys rebelling against the UK? Yeah. Beagle Bomb, 10 litres per 100 kilometres, good or bad gas mileage? I have no clue. That's, what is that? 10 litres is about 2.5 gallons too hard. Too hard. It's better to lose time than to do time. Well, yeah, thanks for that little gem there, Mr. Nickel. I think most of us would agree with that. Barracuda. All my schooling was in Dunedin. Fair enough. Matthew Ward. Hey, welcome along, man. Good to have you here. Beagle Bob. Good for a big car, bad for an economy car. Okay. Yeah, I think the real economical cars are down 6 or 7 litres per 100k. Seems to be an equation I remember. I don't know why. Apprenticeship. I did an apprenticeship at Barry's Point Road in Auckland. And a little body shop there that is long gone. Beer Rose Garage. Usually I buy rusty throwaway junk that Mother Nature already removed the floor for me. Yeah. Even if you're doing that, man, I mean, I think, you start with a better car, then it's just easier. That Alpine, I mean, just every turn I make on that car, you just find more rust. Because that's one that Mother Nature was it was in a death struggle with Mother Nature, and I pulled it back from the brink. But yeah, um, starting with a better car is always better. Because usually when the floor's gone, that 9 times out of 10, that means what the floor's attached to is also gone. It'd be great if like just the floor rusted out and you could just pick it off around the edges and everything else would be solid, but it's not typically how it works. Matt Kennedy, enjoying the Alpine series. In my garage, working on recently purchased 69 MGC GT in mineral blue. Very solid car. Enjoying learning to tune SUs. Oh, yeah, good on you, man. And fixing some small things. Now, the MGC GT was the 6-cylinder, wasn't it? That had, wasn't it like a Woolsey 6-cylinder engine? Or was it a big... Yeah, I think it was a Woolsey or a big Austin 6-cylinder engine in it. They were a little nose heavy, if memory serves me correctly, but still, had much, a lot more power and a lot more torque, and it was a pretty torquey engine, and it made them nice to drive. You could drive them a little lazy if you wanted to. You didn't have to always be rowing gears like the MGB, really. The MGB would go well, but it did rely on being in the right gear as much as possible. The MGC, you could be a little lazy because it just had bags of torque out of that big 6. Snow Crusher, if you really want to screw someone up, hand them a surveyor's tape. It's in feet and tenths of a foot. Oh, wow. I wasn't aware of that. It's interesting. It makes sense. Whoever chose 12 inches in a foot? And it's like trying to figure out 0.6 of a foot. 0.750 is easy. That's 3/4, so that's the 8 inches. But 0.6, 0.7, that's a little trickier. But yeah, the tenths, I've never seen that. It's interesting. Paul Funk, golf would be confusing to me if distance was in metric. Your average score would rise exponentially, I suspect, if they started doing it all in metric. That was one of the things that we found not difficult but tricky when first getting here and driving and using like the GPS. You'd be heading down the interstate and it would say 3/4 of a mile, exit whatever the number, and somewhere in your brain you went to 3/4 of a kilometre, and of course it's quite a lot further because it's 1.6 times the metric version. So my brain would always even unknowingly kind of I was calculating time and distance based on kilometres, even though I was getting told in miles, and that was a little tricky. I was always, not where I expected to be when I thought I was going to be there, but I still had a little ways to go because I was working in much larger units than what I was used to. Mexican speak, Barracuda right there with Dean. Oh, fair enough. Barracuda spot welded to a bracket underneath. Why would they even bother doing all that, spot welding? That's crazy. People, I have a ruler that measures in tenths of an inch. It throws me off a bit every time I use it. Yeah, it would. Garth Harris, Taranaki boy. I'm from Eltham, the old Naki. Yeah, near the Naki. Eltham was pretty close to Hawera. That was only like 10 or 15 minutes away. I think it was Hawera. As you went north, it was Hawera, Eltham, Stratford, Inglewood, and New Plymouth. I think there might have been a couple of other little towns in between as well. But I remember that we used to go to New Plymouth pretty regularly where my grandparents were. Kelvin RF, I'm older, so bear with me, folks. Yeah, that's my mantra these days. Now, Tavo, 183 equals 6 foot. Oh, well, yeah, I wasn't far off. That was pretty close. Although I think I'm shrinking a bit. But hey, my doctor knows how tall and what I weigh in metric. I don't need to. There you go. Yeah, I mean, that's his job, isn't it? Fair enough. Mexican spec. We may be live on Thursday afternoon. Okay. Early to see if we can get in any viewers. We will be vertical. Okay. So Mexican spec, what time Central Time will that be? Or you? Yeah, I'm going to have to make sure I've got notifications for you switched on. But I will try and keep that in mind for Thursday. Chris Freemus, I'll be at work on Thursday. We'll try to stop by, but no promises. Fair enough. I'll be at work on Thursday, but of course I've got a pretty good arrangement with the boss, so it's all good. Barracuda, and apparently if the battery is removed, a reset is involved. Ugh. The amount of thought put into getting you to a dealership for fixing is amazing. Jeez, that sucks, doesn't it? Mexican spec. It is a maybe. Mrs. Spec has 2 vacation days. Oh, there you go. Andy Nickel. Classical guitars scale length are measured in metric, 150 or 155 millimeters. All other guitars are measured in inches, 24.5, 25, or 25.49. Wow. That's an interesting SAE type or standard measurement, 25.49. And many more. Wow. LVG, welcome along, man. Good to have you here. Finally got some free time. Still fighting the 60 T-bird trains. Failed again after a 5-mile run. Oh no. Fortunately, the builder is standing behind it. Yeah, it doesn't get itself out and back in again, though, does it? That's frustrating. Wow. So there's this, you can see what he finds wrong with it. Is there some inherent issue with the trans that's tripping people up? It shouldn't be that hard. Well, you'll get to the bottom of it, but yeah, you'll be getting good at getting it in and out. So, Tavo, maybe buy an ignition switch key and matching BCM from a wreck might be the easier option. Well, yeah. Matt Kennedy, big Healy 6. Okay. Austin Healy, right. 145 horsepower. That's really not bad in that little wee car. You know, that's quite useful. And I drove one once and it was like, yeah, it was just bags and bags of torque. So it was a pretty cool car. Never didn't drive it fast, but yeah, supposedly that the weight over the nose was a little bit of a drawback compared to the B, you know, the MGB. So I mean, not to say it's bad, I guess it just didn't turn in quite as well as the MGB. Barracuda, Dean lives where I was born and I live where he was born. Interesting. Matt Kennedy, MG cruises nicely at 60 to 70 mile an hour. Yeah, is it 4-speed, I'm guessing? Is it overdrive or anything? Mexican spec, who yelled switch? Chris Freemus, a Barracuda. Are we allowed to know the general area where you live? Oh, I think he's in Dunedin, if I remember rightly, but probably don't. Yeah. Charles Dalton, lower man, is it the modulator failing or something else? I chased that in my 65 until I found the brake booster was the culprit, as it pulled vacuum from there. Oh, interesting. Bero's garage, and horses are still measured in hands. One hand equals 4 inches, measured from hoof to wither. Good Lord. Wither that's the back of their neck, isn't it? That's that, the base of their neck, I think it is. One hand, that must be a hand width, right? Because everyone's hand's longer than 4 inches. Must be hand width, like. But yeah, who comes up with these ideas? And then you have nautical miles that are longer than a land mile. What the heck is that about? Mexican spec. GPS in Mexico says turn right in 400 meters. I asked my wife, what is 500 meters? 500 meters is 100 meters more than quarter of a mile. So it's a quarter of a mile plus a quarter of a mile. Confused? You should be. Yeah. Andy Nickel, measurements less than an inch, usually stated in hundredths and thousandths of an inch. Go figure. Yeah, well, whenever you're being accurate, like machinist stuff, that's all in hundredths and thousandths, and it's because it's in 10, groups of 10. It's just it's the only way that makes sense, really. Go and tell a machinist, someone works in a machine shop, can you make something that's, 18/64ths in diameter? They won't know what that is. They'll want it in thousandths of an inch or hundredths. Mexican spec, don't know what time it will be. Okay, Kiwi. Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm going to try and remember when I get off tonight to go to your channel and make sure I've got notifications on, because I don't seem to get them, and that's probably my fault, to be fair. Barracuda, I measure as 6 imperial inches and feet. So 6'6"? Is that what you say? As 6 inches in imperial inches and feet. Okay, not quite sure what you mean there, Barracuda. Snow Crusher, when Canada went metric in 77, we had to move all the mile roads to 1 kilometre apart. Oh my God. Danny Boyd, 4 time zones here: Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific. Yeah. It's a wide country, man. New Zealand's only got 1 time zone because it's only about yay wide, but it's long, it's tall. So yeah, we only have the 1 time zone. Aussie's got a few time zones. I'm going to guess at 3 time zones in Aussie. Aussie's pretty huge. Christopher Freeman said, don't forget about Hawaii. Yes, indeed. What time zone is Alaska? Pacific? Probably depends what part of Alaska. Yeah. Or it could depend on what part of Alaska. Snow Crusher, that's taking it too far. Beagle Bob, I think Alaska covers 3 time zones or so. Yeah, Alaska's pretty big too. Danny Boyd, Alaska is Alaskan and 1 hour behind Pacific, and Hawaiian time is an hour behind Alaska. Okay. Yeah, confusing, isn't it? Andy Nichols, scale length determines the spacing of the frets, which have to be perfect within 100th of an inch, or it doesn't play in tune. Really? 100th of an inch? Wow. Not that I ever thought about it, at all, but that surprises me. But when you think about it, it makes sense. Yeah. Interesting. Chris Freeman said nautical miles are longer than land miles. I can't fathom that. Oh, very funny. Very clever. Very witty, Mr. Freemason. That's a good one. Yeah, okay. Hands up who knows how long a fathom is. I don't. Something in the back of my mind says it's about 6 feet, but I don't know why I'm thinking that. I really don't. It's not based on any actual intelligence. It's just a little thought like glimmering in the back of my brain somewhere. But someone will tell me, I'm sure. Danny Boyd, another source says Hawaii is 2 hours behind Alaska. There you go. Beagle Bob, I think the nautical miles are because it accounts for curvature of the Earth or something. Okay. There isn't much difference between regular mile per hour and knots. 1 to 1.1 compared to 1.15. Yeah, it's not much, but it's different enough. Like if a boat or a ship's doing 15 knots, well, it's really doing, about 17 mile an hour. So yeah. But yeah, why not just standardise thing? But they didn't. Tavo, my dad blamed his failing eyesight on using a loop all his early working life. A loop? Machining components to, wow, that's 1 to 1/10,000th. That's not 1,000, is it? No, that's 1/10,000th, isn't it? All long before CNC was a thing. Yeah, I'll bet. Andy Nickel, LOL, 1864 says 9:30 seconds. Oh, thanks. That makes it much clearer. You're absolutely right. I just pulled two numbers out of my head. I wasn't actually thinking of a particular size, but yes, you're right. It is 9:30 seconds. Yes, well, nothing like having a math class in the middle of a car show, but that's okay. We always talk about some weird shit, don't we? Barracuda, certainly Chris F. It's a town called Cromwell, Central Otago. Why did I think Dunedin? The most centrally located town in the South Island. Dean is originally from Alexandra, 25 minutes away. Yep. I know both those places. Tabo, 3 to 5 time zone in Oz, depending on the time of the year. Oh, because of daylight saving. Right, I'm with you. Yeah, we just dropped into daylight saving over the weekend. Danny Boyd, a time zone is typically a few states in width, though. Yeah. Beagle Bob, 1 nautical mile is equal to 1 minute of latitude. Huh. Okay, well, that makes that I can see why they would want that measurement, especially for navigating back in the day. Danny Boyd, communicate and navigate, aviate if you're driving the General Lee. Oh, my word. Andy Nichols, swimming pools are 25 metres or 50 metres, but I used to swim a mile every morning, 32 lengths in a 50-metre pool. Good Lord. Yeah, I'd drown. You'd just have to come and scoop me up off the bottom. I'm not doing 32 lengths. No. Good for you, though, man. That's awesome. I bet you were damn fit and lean as hell doing that every morning. Jeez. Tabo, my house and land plans on record is in chains, yards, and feet. There's another one. The chain. I've forgotten all about the chain. No idea how long that is at all, but I've heard the term before. Lumpy, Y5B. Hello, welcome along, sir. Good to have you here. Barracuda, it's a semi-desert region. It generally resembles the desert regions of Southwest America, but without the cacti. No, a little cold for cacti probably. Andy Nickel, Canada is finally talking about cancelling daylight saving. Yeah, really? You think they will? Mexican speak. Who stole all the cacti? Well, yes, good question. The LVG, no, thanks for the reply. This is a mechanical cruiser-matic, no modulator. It's all handled by a valve off the throttle linkage. The front clutch burned up this time. So something's not adjusted right, is it? Shouldn't burn up a front clutch at 5 miles. I mean, something's fatally flawed to do that. It kind of sounds like when you get the TV cable wrong in like an AOD. They'll eat themselves up in that amount of time, but that's because if the TV cable is adjusted incorrectly, then it screws up the pressure going into the clutch packs. Wow, that sucks. Beagle Bob, 1/10 of a thousandth. Wow. That's crazy. Gosh, Tava, what was he making that had to be measured down there? I mean, I was having trouble reading the zeros. I was kind of trying to count how many zeros were there. But 1/10 of a thousandth. Wow. Chris Freemus. Okay, nice. I've been educating myself a bit about New Zealand. Just curious where folks are from. Yes, well, people in the South Island are called mainlanders, and the mainland. I'm not sure what the mainlanders call us North Islanders. Probably just Northerners, I think. But yeah, I don't know where that came. I think probably was started by the South Island people actually calling themselves the mainlanders. But yeah, I'm sure we'll be informed momentarily. British Columbia moved to full daylight saving time. Okay. Mexican spec, 70 degrees here right now with a little wind. It feels like a chill in the air to me. Okay. Yeah, 70 is not toasty warm, but the wind makes a big difference, though. Beagle Bob, LVG, wrenching with Kenny on YouTube has posted a few videos recently about having problems immediately after rebuild with an AOD. I know it's different, but probably fairly similar. Yeah, I think there's parallels there. I think there's a pressure issue to the front clutch to burn it up. It's just not engaging properly. Because they only slip for, the clutch packs are designed to slip. That's what makes them ease from one gear to the next without a big clunk. But it's a fairly brief slip, and that's why they're wet clutch packs, because they're lubricated so they don't get all hot. But if you keep slipping, they still get hot and literally burn up. I think probably most of us smelt the dipstick and smelt that burnt transmission smell. That's a bad thing because it ain't supposed to burn. Barracuda. Well, there was no cacti to steal, but I'm a fan of the cactus scene, so I planted my own. There you go. Andy Nickel, LOL, yeah, I was, but after I broke my leg and got old, it kind of went by the wayside. Yeah, that happens. Danny Boyd, how do you know when you have an AOD TV cable properly adjusted? Well, the way it was taught to me was that you have the cable should be like fully pulled out as you hit full throttle, to the point that the AOD cable is almost stopping you getting full throttle. It's got to be tight, not close to full throttle, but actually at full throttle, that cable needs to be tight. And yeah, where you tighten it to the point that you can't get full throttle, you've gone just a whisker too far. So you just need to back it off so you can get full throttle, but it is pulling hard on the TV cable at the same time. Andy Nickel, yes, we will, but of course some provinces want to stay in standard and others want to go with daylight saving. I quite like daylight saving, I'll be honest with you. I really do. Yeah, some people get very passionate about it and don't like it. Tavo, LBG, wrenching with Kenny recently had a Ford Trans burning up clutches in a few miles, and I think it had something to do with the governor. Maybe look up his channel. It's probably pretty good advice, LBG. Typing as Beagle Bob posted. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, you got two knowledgeable guys giving you the same advice, so that in itself should tell you. Beagle Bob, I know in one of his videos he mentioned a transmission expert he reached out to after the second failure. Yeah. Tell you what, there's not much you can't find on YouTube. Mexican Spec, he's out of here. Thanks for joining, as always. Always enjoy your input. So, yeah, have a good one. And I'll watch out on Thursday for you, mate. Chris Freemesser, I don't care if we stay in standard time or daylight savings time. I just want the clock changing to stop. Yeah, fair enough. Snow Crusher, there is no need for daylight at 3 a.m. I couldn't agree more. Is that what happens up in Canada? Good Lord. Barry Cooter, Mr. Kiwi. I don't think you've called me Mr. Kiwi before. In peak summer here, it's usually up to 111 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 Celsius. And these days, cold to us in the winter is 5 Celsius, usually higher. Yeah, see, that's a carryover from a young age, where there was this perception that the South Island was much snowier and colder than the North Island. But it's not really true, is it? There's some cold spots in the South Island because literally it's further south. You get down in Invercargill, it can get a bit cold and snowy. But it also gets pretty damn hot. But of course, the northerners like to just rag on the South Island because it's just always snowy and cold. But yeah, it's not really true, is it? Chris Freemason, 111 in the summer. Note to self: do not move to Cromwell. That would be a change from New York, I can tell you that. It would be a change of lifestyle. Tavo, 48 degrees Celsius. Damn, that's hot. That's hot. That's the highest you've had since moving out here, -1, the lowest. 48. What's that in Fahrenheit? That's hot. Paul Funk, if I remember correctly, my 67 Ranchero needed the kickdown linkage to shift properly. That was 35 years ago, but after it was adjusted, it worked properly. Yeah. All the modern transmissions are computer controlled, like even the AOD, which is, they call that the 4R70W or something like that. 470, one of those, bunch of letters and numbers, is an electronically controlled AOD, is what it is. And that made the transmissions a lot more efficient, especially when they started getting up into multiple speed, more than 2 and 3 gears. The electronic control was a lifesaver kind of thing for the transmission. But yeah, they still needed to be. Oh, hang on, chat disconnected. Please wait while we try. So we had a brief disconnect there. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, they still had just mechanical linkages controlling the shifting, and they either had linkages. Typically, the older ones had linkages, and then they went to cables, and then they went electronic. Tavo 48 is 118. Yeah, that's Arizona. Arizona hot, that is. Chris Freeman's a note to self: do not move to South Australia either. Yeah, it's can get a bit hot. Danny Boyd, C4s used a metal rod kickdown linkage in the 60s and 70s. A lot of the Mustangs had a mechanical like rod linkage, which then hooked to a cable, which hooked to the transmission. Yeah. Beagle Bob 4R70 and the W were the same. W indicated the wide ratio gear set. Ah, okay, that's good to know. So tell me, Bob, the wide ratio. So that was a lower first and like taller top gear. Is that what they mean by wide ratio as opposed to close ratio? Now, Tavo, northern end of us, Western Australia might suit you better. Occasional 51 degrees Celsius, but rare. Wow. Yeah, the northern end. The Northern Territory. Yep, that's a tough place to live there. What area was old Crocodile Dundee supposed to have been from? What area was he? Yeah, it's been too many years since I've seen that movie. I don't remember. Danny Boyd, when I swapped my old 68 Cougar to a Holly 4V, I used heater hose clamps to secure a Ford throttle cable in tube to the Cougar throttle linkage, and then it popped right on the carb. There you go. That's hot rodding, man. That's how you do it. You mix and match and make shit work. Danny Boyd, kick down linkage, still worked fine. There you go. Chris Freemesser. How does a guy from New York know off the top of his head like that where Crocodile Dundee was from? Crocodile Dundee was from Bartertown. I don't even know where Bartertown is. Tavo, Crocodile Dundee was up north in the territory, in the Northern Territory. That's what I was kind of thinking. But that's different to you were talking about northern end of the Western Australia. Different again. There you go. You must be Chris Freeman. You must be a fan of the movie or something. Good Lord. Josh Homan, somewhere in Australia, he was probably only pretending to be from the outback. He probably lived in the soft life in Sydney. Well, yes. Well, the actor, or yeah, definitely. Barracuda. I spent the first 24 years of my life in Dunedin. I knew there was a Dunedin connection there somewhere. It's in a pretty bad place for the weather, for example. I live 15 minutes inland, and one day I noted that it was 33 degrees centigrade where I was and was 12 degrees C in Dunedin. Wow. That's a huge swing for 15 minutes. Wow. But it's an interesting landmass. The South Island is an interesting kind of, it has some curious weather phenomenon as far as temperatures go. Oh, Chris Freemason, Bartertown is a Mad Max reference. Oh, okay. I see. God, it's been decades since I saw Mad Max, like decades and decades. Tavo, kid's mother did her trek up to Darwin in the Santa Fe Hyundai. She just kept ahead of the bad rain, which closed the national highway from halfway up South Australia all the way to Darwin. Wow. That's a lot of rain. Danny Boyd's breaking into song. I'm going to Bartertown. Yeah, they really bartered down. Yeah. Good Lord. Obviously, we have some Mad Max fans in the house. It's all good. What else is going on? Who run Bartertown? Kev run Bartertown. There you go. There he is. He's nearby. Actually doesn't have much to say, but, you know, quite tight. Yeah. Hello, man. Right. Well, what's been going on at the shop? What has been going on at the shop? I've been doing first couple of the days this week. I've been working on Swiss cheese. Just finished a video today for that. I was gonna post it tonight at 6 o'clock, and then before I knew it, I was having dinner and it was 10 to 7. And it's like, shit, I don't want to post it now because I'll be competing with myself. So that's going to come out tomorrow, about 6 o'clock tomorrow. So look out for that. That's doing all the rear suspension. This Mustang's Too Fair rear suspension. Getting that in, which was a challenge. And you'll see on the video, but yeah, the Mustang Stafia has like two big, probably about 3 foot long sections that cap the original rear chassis rails. One side fit pretty nice. You kind of had to whack it up there with a dead blow, but yeah, because it's meant to be snug. But it went in pretty well. That was the right-hand side. The driver's side, whew, wow, that was a challenge. But you'll see that on the video. We had to cut and tuck and grind, and yeah, it was a pain. And in all honesty, I don't know whether it was because it was jigged wrong for Mustang Sophia or the chassis rail. To be fair to those guys, I think it was probably more the chassis rail because they knew their replacement chassis rails. And I mentioned it in the video, the chassis rails are made out of 3 pieces and welded together in a jig somewhere because of the cost of stamping it in one go like Ford used to. They stamp it in 3 pieces and join it together. So it just had, the chassis rail had too much of an S-bend through it, and it didn't match the S-bend in the cap. So I had to make the cap match. So yes, much cut a little bit, try again, cut a little bit, try again, cut a little bit, try again. But yeah, not a bad video. It's got the Watts link set up in the back of it and all that fun stuff. Now, Farmer Craig, howdy Kiwi. Hey, howdy Farmer Craig. Good to have you here. Chavo, Kev's been very well behaved. Did you sedate him? Yeah, I think my bourbon's like right here, and I think he might have been taking a couple of hits from it, keeping him quiet. I'm sure I didn't drink all of that. I'm sure it wasn't me. Paul Funk, Mad Max was a cool movie. I thought the clutch engagement of the blower was a real... Mate, a lot of people did. You're forgiven for that. But no, an air conditioning type clutch would not actually hold a blower, but we all know that now. But yeah, it was... and tell you what, when trying to suck air through a blower that's not rotating, the power robbing ability of that is phenomenal. So yeah, just really didn't make sense. But hey, it was a movie, and it was about a time, an age that didn't make sense. So Beagle Bob, I think all the gears were different except 1-to-1. Only about 0.15 difference between them. 7 versus 0.65 overdrive. Okay. Chris Freemason. Court-ordered gabapentin treatments. Yeah. Yeah, mate, I've had my share of gabapentin when I did my knees in. Yeah. I was glad to be off that stuff. Tavo, yeah, I usually get to watch a Kiwi video early in the mornings before the live. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I didn't want to put them out at the same time, so I thought I'll just do it Wednesday night. So, and I might just bang it out there early tomorrow, like for the members, so they get a little sneak preview. So, yeah, watch out for that, Tabo. Barracuda, still on the weather. In the 70s and 80s, the temperatures in central Otago were hotter. Wow. I remember 44 Celsius on a holiday there. Wow. So global warming's a myth then, you reckon, Barracuda? Driveway of Misfits. I see a lake next to Cromwell. Lots of boating there. That I couldn't tell you. Beagle Bob, that's part bourbon math. Part the first gears were 1.15 off. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Bourbon math, nothing like it. Yeah. It's that's a thing. And what else has been going on at the shop? Working on Swiss cheese. So I had it up on the rack doing that suspension, so I've been catching up on some welding on the underside of the car that I've been putting off until it wasn't there. So I've been catching up on a bit of that. Measuring it up for a rear axle, measuring it up for wheels, custom wheels. So we're going to have a nice, shallow backspace on it, some nice deep dish wheels. So that's what's been going on there. We've got an F250 in there, like a 79. Quite a nice truck, actually. It's got all the. It's F250 Lariat, I think it is. So it's the super duper luxury one, luxury as they were back then. But yeah, that's we're taking all the smog equipment off it because he doesn't need that anymore. We've gone away from smog testing here in Williamson County. Well, most of the areas around here, none of them are doing smog tests anymore. So getting rid of that, replacing some steering shafts in it because it was doing the old half a turn from lock to lock before anything happened. So yeah, keep an eye out for that video. We'll take that on a test drive. But I drove it around the yard and man, it's a truck. It's a truck, the F250, compared to my one, which is both dent side trucks. Obviously mine's a 100, this is a 250, but you feel every pebble on the ground, like it is so hard on the springing. You feel every little bump, and then it's got the 4-speed with a granny low, so it's literally about 3 miles an hour in first gear is about all she wrote. But yeah, it's that granny low. It's almost impossible to stall it. Like you can let it idle and drop the clutch, and it'll just do a little lurch and keep going. You really cannot stall it. But if you wanted to pull some giant hay bale, trailer full of hay bales, then Granny Low would got the job done. Beagle Bob, does the gabapentin make you feel in a fog or something? Yeah, it does. It does, and it just slows you down. And it's you don't. It's like the opioid painkillers. If you're genuinely in pain, the opioids don't give you a high. Once you've gotten over the pain, if you keep taking the opioid, then you definitely get a high. I've been down that road as well. And when I realised what it was, I immediately stopped taking opioids. I had a shoulder surgery 15 or more years ago. here, and they had me on some fairly strong hydrocodone, and one day I realised that I was like, I've been taking it for a little while, because they used to give you 3 months worth, not even blink about it. Now that you're lucky to get 7 days worth of it, which is, I shouldn't say lucky, but it's a good thing. They were out of control with that shit. But I realised, several weeks in, I can't remember how many, but several weeks in, it's like I started thinking, when's my next, dose, my next lot of pills due? And it wasn't because I was hurting, it's because I just wanted the pills, because they do make you feel good. And it's like, oh, shit. And it was like an epiphany. I went, whoa, what the hell? What's going on here? So that was it. I just stopped taking them immediately. But yeah, gabapentin is a milder version of that, really. And when you need them, you need them. When you don't, you don't need them. Now, Michael here we go again. Pagliarini. I watched your video on Swiss cheese rear quarter panels. Does rolling the edge distort the panel? Not the way I did it. If you have a quarter panel and lip that are spot welded together in the traditional way, when that lip is horizontal, and it's spot welded to the inner wheelhouse, when you roll it up, there's such a lot of stretching going on to make that 2 layers go from, that's your quarter panel, that's your lip. To make the lip go up like that on the inside, it's the outer layer has such a long way to stretch around the inner that causes distortion. But the way I did it, cutting the inner lip off completely and just folding that edge up so that it's 3 layers then instead of 4, no distortion at all. But not something you can do after the fact, really, to try and cut that inner lip out after the quarter's installed is just not, you can't do it. It's not practical to do it. Yeah. So yeah, if you do it the way I did it, no distortion. If you try and do it on an already assembled car, you're going to get little kinks and bumps, without a doubt. Now, where are we up to here? Andy Nicol, not only, what are you talking about there, Andy? Not only is it a myth, it's a scam. Sorry for the political. I missed what you're talking about there, mate. Tavo, members get a sneak peek, all 4 of us. Yeah. Well, you pay your money, you should get something for it, right? I mean, I do appreciate the members I've got, and I know it's only a handful, but hey, it all helps. So, members get a sneak peek, all 4 of us. I strongly suggest more regulars take the plunge and join Kiwi's channel. That would be nice. It would be. But, I mean, when you've got a huge viewership, and several 100,000 subscribers, you can do that membership thing, and you're typically making enough video footage that you can actually have exclusive videos for the members. And also some of those bigger channels with the memberships, it's not that cheap to be a member, but yeah, you do get some little perks. And if I'm honest, at the level that I'm doing it at, it's really just, as much as anything, it's a bit of a thank you to the channel, and I really do appreciate that. Beagle Bob, the Explorer you pulled the motor from would have had an SBF pattern for 4R70. Most of them are made for the overhead cam motors. I have one that I will put behind a 302 someday. Okay, probably should have grabbed that transmission. It's probably still there in actual fact. I just didn't have a home for it, and if I had loads of empty shelf space in the shop, I probably would have grabbed it, because I think it was like $80 or something like that for the tram. Chris Freeman said, we have to give our cat gabapentin to chill her out before the vet visits. That's the only reason I know what it is. So fair enough. Yeah, well, unfortunately, I know firsthand, but well, unfortunately, it wasn't that big a deal. But yeah, I know a guy who's been on it for years and who shall remain nameless, but it's not it's not good for you long term. Joseph Zott, with car prices, engine replacement is going to pick up. Yeah, it's interesting perspective. What's killing cars the most these days, as I've seen it anyway, and I can't speak for all of America because I live in a little tiny piece of it. It's all the ECUs, BCMs, it's the computer stuff that's pushing the cars over the edge as far as making them worthwhile to keep on the road. You start getting into the electronics of them, which there's a lot of 20-year-old cars that are heavy with electronics and computer modules and stuff like that. But the engines are lasting really well. It's nothing really to get 200 to 300,000 miles on an engine if you even look after it a bit. Give it half as many oil changes as it should have, they'll still last a long time. But it's the electronics that give up on them. But yeah, the cost of cars, I agree with you. But that's been my experience. Is it's not engines that's sending the cars to the scrapyards; it's the electronics. And of course, to get electronics looked at and addressed and fixed up is going to cost you a lot of money. Jeff Hutchins finally pushed all of the customers out the door. They owe me overtime. I have arrived. The party can begin. There you go. Good to know. Welcome along, Jeff. Always good to have you here, man. Barry Cooter. Yes, Chris. That is a man-made lake. It used to be two rivers that met here, but in the late 70s, the government started on a massive hydroelectric dam project and flooded the place. Huh, there you go. Yeah, I'm a Kiwi, I didn't even know that. I know you had some big hydro systems down in the South Island, but I didn't know that particular story. Beagle Bob, I got airlift air springs for my F350 Julie. It greatly helped the ride for a few $100s. I would recommend it to anyone. Okay. So did you take out some of the steel springs, some of the metal, the leaves or whatever, and replace them with the airlift, or was that an addition? How did that work, Bob? Here we go. Barracuda, and a lot of old Cromwell is underwater now. Wow. Yeah, it's kind of sad when that thing happens, but it's progress, as they say. Jeff Hutchins, Beagle Bob agreed. Rear helper airbags are very good on trucks. Okay. Beagle Bob, I was prescribed gabapentin for a nerve compression into both of my arms. Okay, but never took any. I would rather be in pain with my mental clarity, especially because of my problem is not temporary. Yeah, well, that's all it does is mask the symptoms. It doesn't cure you. It's not a cure in a pill by any means. It just masks. And it's tricky. It was really Mrs. Kiwi that said to me, "Hey, you've got to stop taking that shit." It certainly never gave me any kind of a buzz. There was no upside to it other than it just became a bit of a habit to keep taking it, and you're always a bit, like you weren't in pain while you were taking it. The reality was that when I stopped taking it, I wasn't in pain either, because I'd recovered to a point where it wasn't really painful. but you don't necessarily know that. And she just said, yeah, she'd noticed a change in me and said, you've got to get off that shit. So I went, oh, okay. And having had that little brush with opioids, I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And so I did. I dropped it. I had half a bottle of the pills for a couple of years sitting in the medicine cabinet, and then eventually threw them away. It really wasn't hard to give up. It wasn't like there wasn't any withdrawals or anything like that. Not that I noticed anyway. But yeah, I was apparently a little sluggish, shall we say, to put it nicely. Snow Crusher, any interest in putting together a Crown Vic swapped F100, F150? Absolutely. I have, for Old Blue, I have a complete Crown Vic front suspension sat in the workshop to go in it. As soon as I have a bunch of spare time. Not quite sure when that's going to be. But, it's sitting there waiting. So, yeah. Watch this space. There will be a video coming one of these days. And there's no shortage of videos out there on how to do it. But, I'll still do a video on it and I'll see how it works for me and see if there's any, alternative or different ideas that I might come up with, or, having watched a few of the videos, I might, just share what I think is the best way to do it and see how the video goes. I didn't. Yes, Andy Nicol. Yes, you're right. I did mention global warming. I suppose that is flirting with political stuff, isn't it? Yeah, that's a no-no. Barracuda, so you have a hydro plant there? Oh, that's Chris Freeman just asking. Yeah, hydro. Yeah, there's several hydro plants there, hydro dams. Not to the level of Hoover Dam, but, New Zealand level. We've got a couple of hydroelectric schemes. My father-in-law actually was a big part of the one in the North Island. Back when he was, like an apprentice civil engineer. He was part of the crew that were working on that. I think that was late teens, early 20s. And he just turned 80, so it was a while ago. That's why Mrs. Gay was back in New Zealand for her dad's 80th birthday. So that's 60 years ago he was doing that. Jeff Hutchins, in one of my favourite movies, Chuck Norris's Lone Wolf McQuade, his 81 Ram Charger has a clutch supercharger as well. Really? Oh, good Lord. I wonder why Hollywood thought that was a thing. I wonder who copied who. Was it Chuck Norris's movie or copying Mad Max, or the other way around? Barracuda, most towns in central Otago, absolutely. Yeah, including Cromwell, were created because of the late 1800s gold rush. Now it's all about grapes, wine, and tourism. Yeah, I think times change, man. Yeah, it was a big gold area, sort of central South Island. Big gold rush. Jeff Hutchins, I had really bad ingrown toenails on both feet when I was 19. They split them down the middle and pulled out both sides with pliers. Wow. I don't know what the pain pills were, but I was very content. There you go. The juice was worth the squeeze in that case, huh? Yeah. Chris Freeman, I can think of worse industries to have in your area. Sounds not dissimilar to our area. Yeah. It's It beats a nuclear power plant. Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, there's nuclear power plants here in Tennessee, but not what you'd call close. But if one was to go boom, I guess we would be too close, potentially. But yeah. Beagle Bob, my F-150 was a big pain in the ass when doing the differential. The battery got low and I couldn't shift into neutral until it was charged. Oh, that's frustrating. I had to keep the key in the ignition so I could spin the diff. Huh. Oh, well, of course, yeah, it would have been in neutral. You couldn't put it in neutral and leave it there. Huh. Interesting. Shot the page again. Oh, Vilefly's just dropped in. Good evening, Vilefly. Michael Pagliarini. You got the name correct. Well, cool. And the quarters are not welded on yet. Still doing a lot of fitting. The trunk lid area is too flat. Okay. Keep at it, man. Keep at it. You will get it. I know it's frustrating, but you will get it. And you'll have them on and off a lot of times. But it will pay off if you just bang it on and force it. Once you get it painted, you're going to see what you did and you're going to look at it every single time you walk up on the car. So hang in there and get it done. It will come to you, and it's surprising how an eighth of an inch, a little trim, a little zizz with the cutoff wheel, and things start to really fit. And what I always notice is that, the more times you have it on and off, the easier it drops on. When the first time you ever fit it, I find it's always a battle. You've got to reel it one way and reel it the other and force it and clamp it and mess. It's hard to get on. And then once you get it fitting nice, it just plonk. Well, okay, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it'll go on, like so much easier than the first time you tried to get it on. And if you can just keep chipping away at that, and I'm sure you know what I mean when I say that already. But yeah, just keep polishing at it, keep like finessing it, not polishing, but finessing it to get that fit, so that it just sits on there happily, and then it's time to weld her on. Now, Beagle Bob, what would be a bit of difficulty to take the shift linkage off? Okay, I'm with you. Yeah. Super Zoo Panda. Well, welcome along. You made a message and then disappeared. There you are down the page. Super Zoo Panda. Go with a stacked transmission cooler with zip tie plugs or bracket setup that doesn't push ties through the AC or radiator. Yep, that's fair. Chris Freeman, half an hour left to go in the chat. About time for Granddad's junk to show up. Yeah, I'm hoping he makes an appearance tonight, because I want to tell him that we've actually got this wood now at last. What is it, 3, 4, 5 months later? But hey, it's nice and dry now, which is good. It's it's not going to shrink. If it's going to shrink, it's shrunk already, and which can lead to cracking and that sort of stuff. So, just been letting it dry naturally, so it should be ready to work on. If not now, pretty soon. Barracuda, yes, the dam makes most of the required electricity supply from New Zealand. Most for the whole country. Wow. That's cool. Beagle Bob. The air springs are just additional. I keep them at 5 psi when I'm not towing or loaded down. Okay. Jeff Hutchins, Kiwi. Every time you mention your knees, I think of the way it happened and cringe. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm still in the same workshop. Whenever I walk in front of a car that's parked on the lift now, it can't help but cross your mind. Volfly clings to an ibuprofen. There you go. What's for dinner, Volfly? We're always interested in what you're eating. Sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Andy Nickel, they tried me on methadone to get me off the oxycodone. Fuck. It turned me into a zombie and I stopped almost immediately. Methadone is not good shit, man. And it's terrible the way they use, in my opinion. Okay. And flirting with political, in a way, kind of, not really. But the methadone programs they have here in the States, you can stay on and in the methadone program for as long as you like, or as long as you have to, or there is no time crunch. Like they have methadone programs in New Zealand, and correct my Aussie boys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's similar in Australia, where in New Zealand, I think it's 30 days. They put you in a methadone program. It might be 60, might be 90. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a finite length of time is the point that I'm really making, to be on methadone, trying to get you off whatever they're trying to get you off of. And, and at the end of that time frame, you stop getting it. Here in the States, if you pay them the money, you just keep getting it forever and ever until you die. They don't care. They have a captive audience for the product, I was completely unaware of that in the States. I had someone work for me that was on methadone, and they'd been on it for 9 years. Yeah, it's not good. I mean, they're not trying to help you. The whole idea of the methadone program is to help you give up harder drugs. And they're not helping you give up anything. They're actually just, the methadone programs here are just legalized drug suppliers. It's just illegal drugs. And it's really bad. Anyway, that's my little rant. So Andy Nickel, yes, good on you for stopping it almost immediately, because that wouldn't. All it turns into is something that if you don't have it, the pain from not having it is worse than the pain you were trying to mask. They get people who are coming off it get really drug sick, and that's pretty brutal. Wow, I'm shocked that they tried you on methadone to get you off the oxycodone. So, man, you're impressive, brother. Like you got off everything and you stayed off everything, and you're not 29 anymore, mate, are you? So you've been off it for a while. So I tip my hat to you, bud. You're a success story. Jeannie Turner, if only mechanics were as honest as doctors, Tony. Okay, I'm not quite following that one. Oh, Andy Nichols still on the oxy. Oh, wow, really? Wow. Okay. Well, that's a long time to be on that stuff. David Tyree, so you didn't do your time in Mount Eden? No, mate, I didn't. No. There was a lot of battle shops in Mount Eden. But no, that wasn't me. Why the question about Mount Eden, if I can ask? Volfly, I could never get addicted to drugs that disconnect my brain from the spinal cord. The lack of control is upsetting to me. Yeah, well, I mean, the trouble with that stuff is it often catches you by surprise, because that, like stuff like the oxycodone and the hydrocodone and stuff like that, that really works to kill pain, and when you're in true pain, you don't get any of the associated upsides from it, and it doesn't really disconnect you from your, as you say, your brain from your spinal cord. It just does the job it was meant to do, and the whole getting high and all that stuff is really kind of a side effect. But my experience was it wasn't until the pain went away that you started getting the fun side effects. So, but Andy, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that you're still in that much pain, mate. But that sucks. Now, Paul Funk, if our snowpack here in Colorado doesn't improve soon, shut up the page. Wow. We've got a long way again. Here we go. Doesn't improve soon. The Glen Canyon Dam and the Hoover Dam will no longer be able to produce electricity. The Hoover Dam won't be able. Ooh. That's going to be a problem for California, isn't it? Wow. So it needs to melt, send some water down that way. Volfly, guess that's why I was never in the depths of an ether binge. Oh, good Lord. Well, no, hopefully not. Beagle Bob, the key will not come out of the ignition unless it's in park. Okay, I'm with you. Snow Crusher, lots of hydropower up here in Manitoba, Canada, that we sell onto northern states, but political climate may change that. There you go. Yeah, well. Jeff Hutchins, Super Zoo, if you have room for those long tubular log-style transmission coolers with the rigid fins, they work really well. Okay. I just realised I might have missed something that Zoo Panda had to say because I'm not on the right. I need to be on live chat and I forgot all about it. Hang on, let's wait to the latest message again. I'm a page behind here. Why is that not doing what I want it to do? There we go. Driveway Misfits, there's a nuclear power plant 20 miles east of us. Yeah, well, I mean, it's just a fact of life now. We want power. We've got to have those things around. Very cute. Actually, Dunedin City came about because of the gold rush as a point of bringing in supplies and sending them inland by horse and cart and people by stagecoaches. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, it's not that long ago, really. Loud pipe saves life, 69. Hey, Kiwi, did you watch the Nick's Garage 413 Cross Ram saga? I did not, no. What happened? Jeff Hutchins, how many people have had an OBS Ford pickup that won't let you shift out of park because your brake light or brake light switch goes out? That's fun. Wow, I bet it is. Never had that. Tavo, X's Odyssey, park up at my place, crashed. Has the ignition on, brakes on, locked into park thing. But it has a tiny cover you can remove and press an unlock button next to the shifter. That's probably a good idea. Chris Freeman, so you can buy an inexpensive moisture meter that will tell you how dry the remote is. Yeah, could do, I guess. We were just letting it dry out naturally. And as it's warming up, it's even just keeping it in the house with the AC running is very drying. It should be dusty dry before long. Biggle Bob, it took a long while for the diff to go all together because it was a Mustang unit that was never meant to have a C-clip axles. Had to clearance about 4 thousandths off each side. Well, that's not much. But, well, obviously it wasn't, huh? And 4 thousandths off both sides and put the clips in behind the spring. I'm with you. Yep. Yeah, I think I have missed some here. Joseph Sott, the 406, was it mainly truck engines? Saw one in a car. No, they put them in cars as well, which is what Danny's going on to say. 406 Ford went into full-size cars for a year or two. Yeah. Wasn't a big production engine like the 390, like they put 390s into so many vehicles, but the 406 was not as, in that level of numbers. Jeff Hutchins. God, you made me choke then. I try not to work hard enough to get hurt. There you go. Oh, well, see, I'm hurting myself all the time. Danny Boyd, 406 gave way to the 427. Yeah, I think you're probably right there. Beagle Bob, what would be a good home for a Borg Warner T10? I've had one sitting around for a few years. Yeah, 4-speeds, that's a tough one. Everybody wants 5-speed. Yeah, I mean, Mustang is a good home for it. But yeah, typically the people that want to go from an automatic to a manual, want a 5-speed. Someone who wanted to convert their 3-speed manual Mustang to a 4-speed, that would be ideal, because at least it is an upgrade at that point. Danny Boyd, glad I've never tried any of that opioid crack. Honestly, in my opinion, if you need it when you need it, but just don't overdo it, man. Like, just, if they give you, just as a round number, if they give you 20 pills, try and only use 15 of them. And if you only need to use 5, then so be it. But like, when you're really hurting, and it does happen, when you're really hurting, the shit works. It does work. But yeah, you just have to have your eyes open going in. It has a price, and it will make you pay if you abuse it. It's that simple, really. Volfly, dinner is another round of store-bought chicken Alfredo. No cooking for me today. Neck bugging me at the T5 vertebrae. Yeah, mine's like 3, 4, and 5. Chiropractor is a wee and tiny woman who is too gentle on the every first attempt. Oh no. Okay. Well, hopefully it's going to get better, man. Yeah, mine's the C. Is it C? The ones that you need. T is the, I don't know. All these different letters they have. Chavo, my medical money has expired. Oops. So on my own now. No more physio, no more free taxi rides. But I've been cleared to drive an automatic car and restricted to a 50-kilometre radius. Well, that's good, man. That's something. Wow. I thought they'd looked after you better in Aussie with the healthcare. That sort of sounds an American kind of attitude. That no more physio, no more taxi ride. But at least you can drive. That's cool. I guess you just got to try and keep yourself moving, huh? Ooh, we're running out of time. 6 minutes to go. Of course, Barracuda, of course, they had to electrically connect the North Island and the South Island by way of cable on the seafloor across the Cook Strait. Didn't someone catch that cable years and years ago on a big anchor? Not like some big ship, not some little recreational fishing boat, but some big boat caught it with an anchor and dragged it and damaged the cable. I seem to remember that as a very young person. Danny Boyd, Dallas Brown bought a T10 which turned out to be a drawer full of silverware. Oh no. he might want it. Yeah, there's always a home for him, but just not as big as it once was. Danny boy, plenty of mechanics are honest. I'm honest as a mechanic because I don't want to do any more work than is necessary. I get you there. My mechanic is as honest as the day is long. Great guy. But you don't. Yeah, that's. I mean, there's. I mean, in every industry, there's unscrupulous people. And I hear what you're saying, Danny boy. But the guys that don't want. I think the rip-off ones are like you, and they don't want to do any more work than necessary. They just bill for work they didn't do. You don't want to do any more work than necessary, so you do the jobs that need doing and charge for the jobs that you did. The people that are ripping you off are not taking longer to do that work. They're just doing that work and billing for that work and other stuff as well. Andy Nicol, I'm not off Oxy and I don't know what will happen when my doctor retires because no one in Edmonton will take on Oxy patient. Oh, wow. Huh. Man, that sucks. That sucks. Ooh. Yeah, that's not something to look forward to, is it? Wow. I have no idea what to suggest there, man. Start looking for a doctor that might. Amazing, isn't it? They'll prescribe that stuff for years, and then suddenly, you're ostracized, which is bullshit. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're an addict using it for recreation. This is a road that the pharmacy companies sent you down, and there should be, you should be able to get care. Danny Boyd, I explain everything to the owner too. Yeah, that's kind of the deal I'm on. I do with my guys. I don't give them quotes because I found it's not wise to give fixed quotes on 60-year-old cars because you just don't know what you're going to run into. I'll give them an estimate, and if anything comes up, it's just agreed that I will let them know. If it starts to fall outside of the guesstimate, I'll ring him and I'll tell him what it's going to be, why, and why this wasn't foreseen or whatever, and go from there. And they seem to appreciate it. Barracuda, Tavo, the medical care doesn't seem to be as free. Where's that gone? It doesn't seem to be as free in Australia as it is in New Zealand. No, that's what I was thinking. Honesty is the best policy. The second best is bribery. It's a little bit like old Tony's saying of better to ask for forgiveness later than permission beforehand. But yeah. Super Zoo Panda, how would you install a transmission cooler in a C3? C3, that's the Stingray, isn't it? So is there not one in the radiator? I was pretty sure they came with a transmission cooler in the radiator, or are you trying to bypass that? Okay, so on the assumption that you're trying not to bypass the one in the radiator, there's no reason you would be wanting to add an additional transmission cooler to the one in the radiator. One thing to keep in mind with those, those flat little radiator, like miniature radiator looking type transmission coolers, they don't need a lot of air. They don't need to be up in front. I mean, it's nice if you can get them up in front of the radiator, like in direct line of airflow. They don't have to be. They just really, just out, just under the car, tucked in a corner, tucked somewhere. It doesn't have to be in the direct airflow. Just the heat that goes through them will cause air to move over them slowly, but just heat, because heat rises. So heat will rise up through the hot cooler, and as that heat rising is the heat from the transmission heat from the transmission cooler just burning off. So yeah, a lot of people go to a lot of trouble to get them out in front of the radiator and tie them to the radiator, and it just needs to be somewhere that it gets just a modicum of air movement. It doesn't need to be a lot. So that would be my advice. Just try and find a home for it, and somewhere that's just the most convenient, really, rather than the most airflow. Because you can actually get away without a cooler at all if you're not driving it super hard and or towing with it. Now, I'm going to guess on a C3, you're not towing with it. So unless you're really hammering on it, you kind of almost don't need a cooler. But, obviously it doesn't hurt. But yeah, if you're just cruising, your cooler's not going to, the transmission's not going to be asking much of a cooler anyway. When they really get hot is when you stick a car and a car trailer on the back of them, but you don't see too many C3s doing that. Danny Boyd, Annie Nickel, unfortunately, I think weaning off that stuff, as difficult as that is, maybe your best bet. Maybe they have better pain relievers now. Yeah, that's kind of where that gabapentin stuff kicks in. That's an alternative to opioids, which has its own issues. The tricky one. I ain't no doctor, so feel bad for you, man. And at the same time, I'm glad I'm not going through what you're having to go through, but I do feel bad for you. Beagle Bob Volfly, I found a Da Vinci tool, by Bodyback to help with my neck, a wedge to help move your vertebrae. I have to look that up, considering I'm having trouble with my neck at the moment. Andy Nickel, I don't get high anymore, haven't for years. Right. Yeah, you are adjusted to it. Wow, I'm way behind. Well, guys, I'm kind of out of time. I'm just going through to see if there's... Yeah. Sorry, guys, I've missed a bunch of your comments, but we are kind of out of time. We're 3 minutes over. Bed is calling to me. I'm just trying to have a quick scan of this. Volfly, vertebrae lettering C, cervical, neck, T, thoracic, L, lumbar, S, sacral, tailbone. Yeah, mine's in the C. I think it's 2, 3, and 4 or something. Not really where they should be. But it's getting better, so. Beagle Bob, I like nuclear power. Well, as long as it doesn't go wrong, like Chernobyl, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good way to do it. I'm just reading through her. Tavo, healthcare is really good here, but free physio is limited to 5 visits per referral. Doctor then has to reapply, and depending on what the physio reports as progress, Medicare decides what you can have. Yeah, 5 visits is not much, is it, really? Typically, you need to go at least twice a week, so that's 2.5 weeks. That's a bit of a joke. To get more serious help, have to apply for NDIS, which is just way too hard. Oh dear, that sucks. Volfly, does anyone know where I can find a switch pitch conversion kit for a Turbo 400? One guy used to market them but disappeared in 2019. I've got the switch pitch was a Buick thing, possibly others as well, but I've got a 425 Buick nailhead and the Buick Turbo 400, which had a switch pitch or has a switch pitch torque converter in front of it. And yeah, it was like literally a switchable stall converter. So you had 2 different stalls within the one converter. It was a great idea. I don't know why it didn't take off more. Danny Boyd, used GM Buick or old Turbo 400. Buick's definitely had a switch pitch Turbo 400. Guaranteed they had that. Andy Nichols, sorry, I don't mean to go on about my situation. I'm doing all right and enjoy life. That's the main thing, man. That's the main thing. I'm glad to hear that, though. I mean, you're not getting well. It's interesting stuff, and honestly, it's something that affects a lot of people. So it's kind of interesting to hear your experiences on. Wildfly, they were probably were for the Buick Olds Turbo 400s, but I think they might work on a Chevy 400. I think you're probably right, Wildfly. Turbo 400, that is, yeah. I think you're probably right. Danny Boyd, yes, the switch pits guts will fit into a Chevrolet case. There you go. According to Dallas. Okay. Now, that's Dallas that used to be on Tony's Live. Is that who you're talking about, I assume? Barracuda, Queenstown is beautiful. Absolutely, it is. Chris F. George Pepper thought so and bought a house there. John Travolta, Brad Pitt are keen on it too. Not in the same league as Pepper, but I'll accept it. The other one who's got a lot of land down there is Shania Twain. Has huge amount of land down on the South Island. All right. Snow Crusher. Andy Nicol, have you tried left-handed tobacco now that it's legal in Canada? Left-handed tobacco. I'm going to take a guess at what that is, but I've never heard it called that before. Huh. Barracuda assholes. He said that, not me. I quite like the French people, the women. There you go. All right. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to call time. And yeah, thanks for all your input. And thanks for being here. It's always fun. 2 hours goes very, very quickly. So, yeah, I had a blast. Barracuda, yeah, close. Chennai has landed in Wanaka. Okay, yeah. I knew it was somewhere in the South Island, but yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't mind being her neighbour, though, I've got to tell you. Just saying. All right, fellas, yeah. Take it easy, have fun, work on your cars, and come back next Tuesday and tell me what you got done. All right, fellas. Yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.